Today we're heading to Arlington National Cemetery.
Burial of four-star General and Secretary of State, General Colin Powell. On the passenger side, coming up be Section 10. Section 10 has among its notables Lieutenant Ollie Josephine Bennett, who served as an anesthesiologist during World War I, one of the first to do that, one of the first military doctors. Section 25 is on the driver's side. Section 25 has Sergeant Henry Johnson, one of the famous Harlem Hellfighters in World War I. He fought hand-to-hand combat during World War I, the Argonne Battle in France, and earned France's highest military honor, the Croix de Guerre. Now, Section 25 is also very special to me because my uncle's laid to rest there, First Class William Lowry of Chicago, Illinois. He also served in World War I. He was not one member of the Harlem Hellfighters. Now, President John F. Kennedy, March of 1963, made an unannounced visit to Arlington National Cemetery, where he lies forever. Section 6 is on the driver's side. Section 6 has among its notables Captain Ronald Brown, first African-American Secretary of Commerce under President Bill Clinton. Section 12 here on the passenger side has one of the Six Flag raisers at Iwo Jima, Sergeant Michael Strang, as well as mystery rider Dashiell Hammett. Dashiell Hammett served in World Wars I and II while becoming the famous mystery rider that gave us such names as Sam Spade, the Maltese Falcon, Nick and Nora Charles, the Thin Man, and my personal favorite, Brad Runyon, a.k.a. the Fat Man. Now, coming on the driver's side, Section 6 once again, driver's side has one of the grave markers at the side of the road, dark marker with wings on it, and that's for Lieutenant Commander Barbara Allen Rainey, first female Navy aviator, first female jet pilot. She passed away in a training accident over at Scottsdale, Alabama. Section 7's coming up on the driver's side. Section 7 has General Louis Hershey, the second and longest tenured head of selective service. That means the draft back in the day. Now ahead of us on the driver's side will be Section 2 once we cross the street. Section 2, when you get into Section 2, you'll look up on the hill, you see four large gray oversized markers on the driver's side. And those large markers make up Chaplain's Hill. Chaplain's Hill honors chaplains many faiths who have served in all of our conflicts throughout history. As we cross the street in a few moments, you'll see Section 2 up ahead. And Section 2 once again has Chaplain's Hill on top of the hill there. Four large gray oversized markers on top of the hill. Also in Section 2 is Secretary of Defense Robert McNamara. He served as Secretary of Defense in both the President Kennedy and President Lyndon B. Johnson administrations. Now, due to funeral services nearby, we are taking this alternate route to the Kennedy grave site. When a host gets to that site, once you come back from the Kennedy grave site, you may want to ask him or her where we're going to be. Maybe at this site still, maybe our regular site, which you'll pass by. Right here? Okay. Well, I told you come back right here. Now, if you do decide to get off in Kennedy, I'll show you how to get there, okay? This is our alternate stop to World War II. Also in this section, the actress Maureen O'Hara, Alfred Valley, Miracle on 34th Street. She married an Air Force Brigadier General. That's why she's laid to rest here. And Lieutenant Colonel Dwight Philly Davis, Secretary of War to President Calvin Coolidge. But he's better known in the world of professional tennis. He's an International Tennis Hall of Famer and the man who founded the Davis Cup tennis tournament. Also in the section is Corporal George C. Westinghouse, a pioneer in electronics after his days in the Civil War. He You may have a Westinghouse appliance in your residence at this time. As late commentator Betty Finesse used to say, you can be sure if it's Westinghouse. Now, Section 7 is now on the driver's side coming up. Section 7 also has five-star General George C. Marshall, Secretary of State and Secretary of Defense under President Harry S. Truman. He also authored the Marshall Plan and redeveloped Europe after World War II. He won a Nobel Peace Prize for that. He's the only Nobel Peace Prize laureate here at Arlington National Cemetery. Section 7A is going to promote every boxing champion, lift them around the troops from World War II by foreign boxing mission while in the Army. Next to Joe Lewis, standard grade marker, actor Lee Marvin. Lee Marvin was a Marine Corps veteran and a Purple Heart recipient. We're now going to go past the front and more amphitheater. That'll also be on your passenger side. I'm Paul by narration just a moment while we go back to the amphitheater. General John A. Lejeune, 13th Commander of the Marine Corps. He has Camp Lejeune named after North Carolina. Also in the section, Lieutenant Edmund Muskie, Vice Presidential candidate, who was Secretary of State under President Jimmy Carter. In just a moment, we're going past Section 3 on the passenger side of the head. Section 3 has a number of nobles, including Major Walter Reed, who discovered that yellow fever was caused by mosquitoes. Also, Major Jonathan Leatherman, father of battlefield medicine. He discovered the triage method we use so prominently today. Also, this section is a pioneer in journalism. She married a Naval Reserve officer. Her name, Nancy Dickerson Whitehead, better known professionally as Nancy Dickerson. In 1960, Nancy Dickerson became the first female correspondent for CBS News. In 1962 to 1971, she worked at NBC News. Her legacy lives on through her son, John Dickerson, the former host of Face the Nation on CBS, and also does some work for CBS 60 Minutes. Now, driver Omar is going to play off to his right in just a moment. As he does so, look across the street on the passenger side for an 8-sided monument. That monument honors those who lost their lives in the largest Coast Guard disaster in history, the USS Serpent Monument. January 29, 1945, 250 surfmen lost their lives in the Serpent disaster, and all the names are etched on the monument itself. This is Section 34 on the passenger side. Section 34 has 5-star General Henry Hap Arnold. He was 5 stars in both the Army and the Air Force. In United States military history, there are 9 5-star military men. 5 of those men are buried here at Arlington National Cemetery. Also in the section, Corporal Ira Hayes, another one of the 6 flag rings in Iwo Jima. He had a tough life after his days in the military. We know that because of the songs about Ira Hayes. The last survivor of World War I. He died in 2011 at the age of 110. Also in the section is baseball player Albert Godson, who played for the Washington Senators until his call to World War II active duty. He passed away in combat during World War II, one of 2 baseball players to do that. Now, General John J. Blackjack Pershing was the General of the Army. That General of the Army's title is equivalent to a 6-star general. Only one other person ever earned that distinction. He earned it posthumously on our bicentennial, July 4th, 1976. His name was General George Washington. Now, General Pershing, with the rank and stature he had, he could be buried anywhere here in this cemetery. He had his choice of any type of grade marker. He specifically wanted a standard grade marker, much like these here on the passenger side. His lone request that overlooked the troops that served under him in World War I. They were known as his doughboys. To the top of the hill on the passenger side, look for a lone blue spruce tree in a clearing. That's the World War I memorial tree. To the right of that tree is the grave marker of General John J. Blackjack Pershing. To the left of the tree are Pershing's 2 grandsons. Both served in Vietnam. One was killed at the Tet Offensive. There's a tree in the middle right there. As the hill gets lower, you'll see that General Pershing's on the right-hand side, 2 grandsons on the left-hand side. All right, we are coming to the stop for General Pershing, and he's taking for General Pershing. We'll go straight to the side for a moment. And among nobles in Section 3, Major General Daniel Sickles. Daniel Sickles, a very interesting story. In 1856 and 1857, Daniel Sickles was a senator and a congressman for the state of New York. However, in 1859, Sickles' life would change dramatically and drastically when he found his wife in the arms of another man. That man was Philip Barton Key, the son of Francis Scott Key, composing the United States national anthem. Daniel Sickles lived at Lafayette Square, which is right across the street from the White House here in Washington, D.C. And on February 27, 1859, Daniel Sickles would find his old friend, Philip Barton Key, at Lafayette Square, and in front of witnesses and in broad daylight, he would shoot and kill him. He'd be charged with murder after hiring a number of lawyers to defend him, including a man by the name of Edwin Stanton. Edwin Stanton be very important in the cemetery. I'll tell you why in a moment. Now, Stanton had a tough time defending Daniel Sickles because when Sickles was asked whether or not he actually committed the deed and killed Philip Barton Key, Sickles reportedly said, "Of course I did. He deserved it." So Stanton had to find a novel defense for Daniel Sickles. What he came up with was that Sickles was temporarily insane when he shot and killed Philip Barton Key. The New York courts upheld that decision, as did the Supreme Court, and thus Daniel Sickles became the first man in United States history to be found not guilty by reason of insanity. He'd go back to being a congressman. He'd go back to his wife. And in 1861, he'd be a major general during the Civil War. Edwin Stanton, meanwhile, becomes Secretary of War to President Abraham Lincoln, and in 1864, he'd appropriate this very site of the National Cemetery as a military cemetery. Now, coming from the driver's side, you're going to start seeing some grave markers in a moment that say, "In memory of." These are empty graves or cenotaphs. These are soldiers who have to be buried here at Arlington Cemetery, or for different reasons their remains were never recovered. We have many of these around the cemetery, including one near the Arlington House, with my favorite musicians and band leaders, Major Alton Glenn Miller. Now, the sections that have these empty graves, they are lettered, not numbered. Up ahead of a few moments, you'll see Section F on the driver's side. Now I'm going to point you towards Section D, as in David. Section D up ahead on the driver's side, as grave markers and rows slope downward on the hill from rows from left to right. I'm going to point you to row second from the right up ahead, and the first grave marker in that row will stand out a little bit because it has gold lettering. And that's the memorial marker for Sergeant First Class Paul Ray Smith. Paul Ray Smith was the first Medal of Honor recipient in Operation Iraqi Freedom. He loved to fish in the Gulf of Mexico. That's where his ashes was scattered. Now, the change of the guard ceremony to the unknown soldiers is a very solemn one, so solemn, in fact, they asked for complete sounds at that ceremony. You might want to sound in cell phones, any personal device you may have. Change of the guard takes place every half hour, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, in all types of weather, by members of the elite 3rd Infantry, also known as the Old Guard. They've been performing this ceremony continuously since 1948. Now, they do allow photography at the ceremony, no flash photography, please. Now, coming from the driver's side at the top of the hill, you see a tall white obelisk with an eagle on it, the Spanish-American War Memorial. That memorial has 4 cannons in front of it, 2 cannons on the outside, the Spanish cannons. They had a range about 400 yards. 2 cannons in the middle are the American cannons. They had a range about 15 miles. There'll be a large tree overhead on the driver's side that has a walkway around it. Behind that walkway lies the reason for that walkway. He's one of the most honored men of all of World War II, Major Artie Murphy. That's what actor and writer after his days in the military. The walkway is there because many people come to see him on a regular basis. stop and retreat on the memorial tree. Dedicated to all of the war correspondents that have given their lives, bringing us information from war and combat zones all around the world. Over on the driver's side, you see that large cross? That is the Canadian Cross for Freedom and Sacrifice. And that was a gift to the United States from Canada for our help with their country during World War I. The mast of the Maine is coming into view over on the driver's side of the vehicle. The Maine was the ship moored in Havana Bay Harbor to protect our interests in Cuba. Here in 1898, unfortunately or inexplicably, there was an explosion on board. Remember, the Maine was crushed, setting off the Spanish-American War. All of the names of the over 270 crew members that were on board that morning lost their lives there etched onto the facade of that memorial. Section 13 is coming into view over on the passenger side area. And Section 5 is coming, Section 15, I beg your pardon, is coming into view on the driver's side of the vehicle. There you will find the grave marker of James Parks Jr. James Parks Jr. was the oldest resident of Arlington National Cemetery. He was born on the plantation as a slave. After he had been emancipated, he was given a job, first as a grave digger. He had to dig one grave a day in order to maintain his room and board. He was then given a job as caretaker, and when he was buried in a full military honors field, the only civilian to be awarded that honor here on the cemetery grounds. The memorial amphitheater where you over on the driver's side of the vehicle, while not the first section on the cemetery grounds, it is certainly the oldest. If you look about 4 rows back, you are going to see a white sarcophagus. It has writing all over the front side of it. It has a green granite memorial at its base with a body on top of it and a sword across its chest. That is the grave marker of General Montgomery C. Meigs. General Meigs was the quartermaster general that opened up Section 13 over here on the passenger side of the vehicle for the burial of the Civil War dead. And the green memorial at its base, that is one of his sons, Lieutenant John Rogers Meigs, who was killed in a Civil War battle. Over on the far left on the driver's side, you'll see that reddish memorial in the distance there. That is the Pan Am Flight 103 memorial that was exploded over Lockerbie, Scotland in 1918. Now, President John F. Kennedy is not the only president buried here at Arlington National Cemetery. We have our 27th president, William Howard Taft, and his wife, Nellie. William Howard Taft was also Lieutenant Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, only man that had 2 branches of the federal government. Executive branch is president, judicial branch, Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. His wife, Nellie, started the tradition of the Japanese cherry blossoms in the Washington, D.C. area during the springtime. President Taft is also known for starting 2 other traditions, both associated with the game of baseball. In April of 1910, President Taft attended a baseball game in Washington, D.C., where he threw out the first pitch of that game. He's the first president to throw out the first pitch at a Major League Baseball game. Now, during the middle of the 7th inning, that very same game, President Taft, who was also the heaviest president in history, weighed about 350 pounds, he decided during that game he needed to stand up. Now, of course, when the president stands up, everybody else around him stand up as well. And since it did take place during the middle of the 7th inning of that game, started the time-honored tradition we know today as the 7th inning stretch. Now, go here on the passenger side, a long brown walkway leads to the tall brown arbors at the top of the hill. And that tall brown arbors is the final resting place of President William Howard Taft and his wife, Nellie. Now, right next to this tree right here, gray bark and 5 stars in the circle, General Omar Bradley, the GI General, commanded 1.3 million men in World War II. Also in the section is 4-star General, Secretary of State under President Ronald Reagan, General Alexander Haig, and Lieutenant General Timothy Moore, the highest-ranking officer killed at the Pentagon on 9/11. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us here at Arlington National Cemetery. For all of us who work here, this is truly our ground. Many of us who work here do need to have family members who are laid to rest here in this cemetery, including myself. My uncle, Private First Class William Lowry, served in World War I. He's laid to rest in Section 25. My father-in-law, Corporal Robert O.T. James, served in World War II. He's interred in Complex 49 on the other side of the cemetery. If you're currently serving, if you have served, and you are here on behalf of those who have served or in memory of those who have served, thank you so much for your sacrifice, commitment, and dedication. Because of these things, the United States has freedom and liberties that other countries simply